butterfly, sting like a bee.
After spending several hours of training and practice in the gym, just when the time came when he knew that he had put all he had, he lay flat on the ground to rest himself and to relish his fruit of practice. But as he lay there, a thought crossed his mind. This thought made him drag himself all the way back to the punching bag, and he decided to put in one last punch. Toastmaster of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, at the age of 12, he decided for the first time to throw his first punch. And he knew that this is what he was born to do. He was born with the name Cassius Clay, and the world later came to know him as Muhammad Ali. Named as one of the greatest sportsmen of the last 100 years by BBC and several other magazines, Cassius Clay started his boxing career at the age 22. A young, proud, cocky champion, I would say, who stepped into the ring, was amateur, who was so young and so thin, and yet had the confidence to bring down one of the biggest champions the sports of boxing had ever seen. At age 22, Muhammad Ali saw fame when he first defeated the reigning world champion by the name Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was a cocky champion himself. Muhammad Ali came to the stage. He won his first championship belt at age 22. But as many famous personalities, Muhammad Ali could not hold on to his victory and his fame. And very soon, you would see him out of the spotlight, battling himself with a lot of controversies, and he was away from his sports that he loved so much, that he was born to do, for a long period of time. 4 long years. Nobody remembered, nobody knew, nobody thought about Muhammad Ali. 4 years later, he comes back. He comes back to the sports that he loves more than anything else. And his match, his career-defining match, the opportunity to win back the world heavyweight champion, is set with one of the biggest boxers that the boxing industry had ever seen. He was known by the name George Foreman. George Foreman stood 7 feet tall, and he was so wide that sometimes 2 boxers would actually cover him up and still not fill his space. George Foreman was known for his heavy pounding, his big punches, his weight behind his punches, and most of the time, the knockout matches that he had, one punch would seal the deal. And here stood Muhammad Ali, a weak champion of the past, who had been forgotten, who came back with no training, and he had his greatest threat, his greatest obstacle, George Foreman. Ali did not back out. He decided to accept and go ahead with this challenge that he had put forth to George Foreman for the World Championship. And everyone across the world were waiting to watch Muhammad Ali go down in the worst way possible. In my personal opinion, one of the worst things that can happen to a champion is not losing his title. The worst thing is coming back and not being able to back your title up again. And he was in that position just before the match started. Some of the press photographers came up to him and wanted to mock him a little bit. And they said, "Excuse me, young man, what is your name?" He looked at the press photographers. He said, "You do not know me? You do not know my style?" He said, "No, we don't know you. The only person we know is this cute gentleman here, George Foreman. We don't know you." I said, "Okay, let me remind you. I float like a butterfly, and in the ring, sting like a bee. They called me Muhammad Ali. He introduced himself to the world this way. He walked on to that match that night, and as expected, as everyone watched so closely, Muhammad Ali was getting beaten, punch after punch, hit after hit, so badly that at one moment in the match, George threw a heavy punch right at him that really knocked Ali off his feet, off balance. And while he was off balance, Muhammad Ali did something amazing, did something so great that his comeback would be remembered for hundreds of years together in boxing history. When Muhammad got hit with that knockout punch of George Foreman, he was caught off balance, and while he was off balance, he moved to the edge of the ropes and he fell onto the rope. He did not have the strength to get up, but he did not want to fall down, so he decided to rest his back onto the ropes. And while he was there onto those ropes, he did something so amazing. He used the ropes to spring back up and knocked George Foreman with his best shot. Thousands of people watching this match at the edge of their seat watched 350-pound George Foreman rock the stage when he fell down. After the match got over, the obvious result was Muhammad Ali win by knockout. George Foreman loses his first match by a knockout. He walked down the stage that day. He was not a cocky champion. And as he was walking towards his audience, a press photographer stopped him and he said, "Ahmed, what did you do that made all the difference today on the stage?" He said, "I practiced." He said, "How did you practice?" He said, "I practiced hard." "How did you practice hard?" He said, "When I spent hours in the gym throwing those punches in the punching bag, and when I had nothing left in the tank, when I was so exhausted and I lay flat on the ground, I thought about George Foreman. What would he be doing right now?" And as I lay on the floor, in my mind, I could see George Foreman still practicing. And I decided to push myself to the bag again and throw in that one last punch. And I thought of George Foreman again. And in my mind, George Foreman was lying flat on the ground. My win came to me because I put in that one extra punch. Ladies and gentlemen, as athletes, as competitors, as people that we live in a competitive world, as contestants, there are times that we might be defeated. We might have to face losses. But do we stop and think about this for a moment? Did your opponent, the person who came victorious, what made him win? It was that one extra match. Toastmasters.